Bruce Lee versus Michael Jordan? It must be impossible to find out. Well, not at all. Today we will pick the best of those legends, and nothing can stop us. Welcome to B-Ball TV YouTube channel. Who was the best, Michael Jordan or Bruce Lee? Make sure to watch till the end to find out. Michael Jordan Legacy. Michael Jordan made more basketball than 6 rings. If Shaquille O'Neal won those titles, it wouldn't have had the same impact. MJ was a worldwide phenomenon because he won them with grace and style. Jordan achieved this with superior athleticism, but also excellent technique. He would often toy with his ops from a standstill, feinting with his shaft look like a confident swordsman. His main foot was attached to the floor, making it simpler for him to explode away from the defender at just the right moment. His style spread beyond the court as he became an international icon. He was so influential that his trademark remained as strong today as it ever did. Michael Jordan is still earning $60 million per year off his shoe sales. In the latest 80s and early 90s, Nike's Air Jordan shoe line jumped into an unprecedented level for a sports brand. Spike Lee produced Jordan's Nike commercials using the "It's Gotta Be the Shoes" slogan, and the spots became era-defining. Jordan played near internet overanalysis, but retiring in 1993 to play baseball charmed the nation. It was a bold move and showed how much Jordan had dominated the game before retirement. After 3 consecutive MVPs and titles, plus an Olympic gold medal, Jordan could reasonably have been bored with the sport he'd conquered. There was literally nobody better, and there was no realistic challenger to Chicago's throne. When Jordan came back in 1995, there was widespread skepticism over whether he could ever be what he once was. In his second act, Michael Jordan gifted us the Madison Garden double nickel 55-point outburst. He also gave us the flu game, plus his championship-sealing shot over Byron Russell and the Jazz. Michael Jordan is remembered as basketball's most outstanding player ever. He's the man who designed a cultural shift from the 80s to the 90s, from the Cold War to the globalization. Bruce Lee Legacy. Bruce Lee's life story has always been mythological. His influence has endured, leaving behind a timeless legacy that has become the stuff of martial art legend. With all due respect, the world is still recovering from his loss because he died so young in 1973. His legacy is like water. It flows, transforms, and changes shape. If you were to combine all other martial artists' personal contributions the world over, the results seemingly wouldn't even come close to the impact Bruce Lee succeeded in popularizing the martial arts. Between 1970 and 1973, he created a worldwide industry of martial arts films where there was zero, while earning the world's applause as its chief showman. Unbelievably, Bruce did all of this before his early death in just 4 movies and a single TV show. Bruce's exceptional influence is still evident today. Thousands of career martial artists worldwide started their own training when they first saw Bruce. That was both in television's The Green Hornet in 1966 or in his later movies, particularly Enter the Dragon in 1973. Still, the all-time martial arts classic. Lee has been copied by scores of stars in dozens of amusing situations, from Eddie Murphy in Trading Places and the robot Johnny Five in Short Circuit to a Joe Piscopo Miller Lite commercial. Perhaps the most remarkable example of Lee's influence on a professional fighter is Sugar Ray Leonard. He is the 5-time boxing world champion who earned $15 million per fight and admittedly emulated Bruce's cinematic stylishness in his ring performances. Theoretically, Bruce Lee was to be the martial arts like Albert Einstein was to physics. His scientific and strategic approach to his art was light years ahead of his peers. For example, there was his abstract futuristic experiment in 1972. He used sounds to make a state of relaxation, a condition he would later recapture during the filming of fight scenes to produce faster reflexes. His technical talent in martial artists remains unrivaled. What could have happened to the genre had its originating godfather lived to guide it into the 21st century? It's already a hard choice to make. Who had the most prominent legacy? So we'll leave it up to you to decide. What if we try to compare Michael Jordan and Bruce Lee's signature moves? Signature moves. Michael Jordan is fantastic when it comes to basketball skills and techniques. Jordan had a signature move when he jumped sideways off of 2 feet and slam dunked the ball with his outside arm in the basket. He can drive by a defender with one of the quickest first steps in the game. Michael Jordan is admired for his creativity with the ball, often called spontaneous basketballer. Everyone in the game stated, "You never know what move he could do next." Michael Jordan will always be recognized for putting his heart, soul, and mind into every game. When it comes to Bruce, Lee got a thunderstorm of signature moves. Both martial and acting master, he literally invented some of the iconic fighting techniques. Remember the 1-inch punch? When Bruce could knock the man down standing 1 inch forward? Try doing it at home. You won't succeed, we guarantee. How about spinning people? When Bruce took 2 men at a time and spun them to fight the whole group of enemies? And of course, the dirtiest and most painful, nut punch. We could continue for an entire video, but you already got the point. Bruce Lee has established some of the classic martial moves that are still practiced today. We got a tie here once again. Maybe we should let them compete with each other in their disciplines. Although NBA is full of legendary players with short stature like Allen Iverson or Earl Boykins, it's hard to imagine Bruce with a ball. Being only 5'7" and thin as a twig, he would be literally smashed by competition. On the other hand, being big doesn't make you a martial artist. On a 1-versus-1 fight, Bruce Lee would use all his techniques and skills to overcome Jordan, who couldn't possibly catch the juggernaut Bruce. Remember, it's not a boxing match. Kung Fu Master could use all of his dirtiest moves we covered before. Yet again, it seems impossible to decide here. Maybe we should find them another proper sport to compete in. Ping pong match? Let's settle these boys on a discipline where they could compete on the same level, or relatively so. There's an amusing anecdote about Michael Jordan's competitiveness. These basketball guys are all competitive. When they see a ping pong table, the first thing is to make the brackets. Boom, boom, boom. For some reason, Christian Laettner was good at ping pong. So, Laettner and Jordan in the finals. Michael's playing ping pong, sweating like a fourth quarter at the free throw line kind of sweat. For some reason, Laettner beat him. That day, Jordan became furious and vengeful. NBA GOAT and multimillionaire Jordan bought a ping pong table at his mansion and began grueling practice. No one knew about it and he was practicing for the rematch. They had a rematch 2 days later, 3 days later, it was something like 21-4. He destroyed him. Jordan destroyed Laettner. That's how competitive he was. But what about Bruce Lee? The first thing that comes up is the famous video of Bruce playing with nunchucks and winning every point. You could say Bruce Lee mastered both nunchucks and ping pong. But turns out the video is fake. Yes, sorry for breaking the legend, but the footage was a Nokia ad, magnificently edited though. For some reason, we got no info about Bruce playing actual ping pong. Maybe he never touched the real racket. Although, since ping pong requires small stature, well-trained reaction, and mobility, we believe Bruce could quickly master the ping pong art. If he had any time for that, of course. Could both of them achieve even more? It's hard to imagine what else Jordan could do to play and win even more. Michael Jordan was ending his career and coming back 2 times. His last point in the game was playing with the Washington Wizards in 2001. Some bemoan this move, but he still averaged over 20 points per game in his final 2 seasons. But he still contributes outside of the field, not only creating the most popular shoe brand, but also being an ambassador of basketball and participating in many charitable events. In contrast, Bruce Lee died too young. Although it might be a controversial thought, in those 4 years of his professional acting career, Bruce achieved everything he planned he would and more. At 32 years of age, he had already improved the state of film and martial arts forever. Take a look at Jackie Chan to imagine what would Bruce Lee's career be like. Of course, Jackie will always be considered a legend in our hearts, but for 20 years or even more, he's been nothing but a shadow of himself. Of course, Bruce could continue developing Kung Fu, making millions on unstoppable movie producing. But that's a big question mark, maybe. He left as a legend on an ice peak of his career. Maybe that was the most significant success he could possibly achieve. No, it looks like we lied to you. It's impossible to call who is the greatest. Let's say they both were legends in their disciplines and changed the world around them significantly, and leave the next debate to you in the comment section. How do you like our video, by the way? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss an upload and you can enjoy the excellent content we send your way.